So Gad Saad has been tweeting about the Sacha Baron Cohen thing, and I just wanted to go over this because I think it really demonstrates a point that we need to remember about these people. Like I used to be a big fan of Gad Saad years and years ago when I was still a liberal, and so I want to read this. Dear Sacha Baron Cohen, I am a dogged defender of truth, an evolutionary behavioral scientist, and I happen to be Jewish. As such, Holocaust deniers and evolution deniers are not my favorite folks in the world. Putting those two things together really undermines the credibility of, of scientific inquiry, doesn't it? I mean, not really the same thing, is it? And yet, I support their right to their right to spew their grotesque, if not imbecilic, falsehoods. In a free society, we do not shut down people because they are wrong, idiotic, imbecilic, mean-spirited, etc. The only time that you should be condoning that social media companies intervene is for libel, defamation, and a direct incitement to violence. So he says that. And this is another tweet of his. I just lost the ad revenue of 12,000 plus views on my latest sad truth clip because YouTube demonetized it right away. It contains zero objectionable content. I am merely discussing the importance of freedom of speech. And this guy, Protocols Pete, I don't know who he is. Follow. He said, "You're caught in a trap devised by your own people, Gad." And his response to that... his response to that is definitely not anti-Semitic. Endless Jew hatred levied at me is fine. But if Jack wants to call someone the R-word, well, it's Twitter banned for me. Nice, consistent rules. Well, the problem... I don't think it is consistent. I think it has to do with whatever censor is reviewing your thing. Like, I had a video on YouTube that was immediately banned because I simply did math, and I was denying something, maybe you could say, but I didn't overtly say that I didn't believe it. I just did the math and said, Ben Shapiro's explanation of why the cookie question is racist is a little bit laughable. That was my point, and my video was immediately banned. And I'm not as big as you. I don't have followers. I have 12 subscribers right now. I had fewer when I made that video. But that, the text to speech, I guess, or speech to text rather, determined that what I was saying was hateful. And the problem is that you bitch about being a victim of anti-Semitism and all this, but who is doing this to you? Who is taking away your right to free speech, Gad? Who's threatening our right to free speech? The ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, an organization that is overtly, openly Jewish. They say that their fucking Twitter bio says they are devoted to the stopping the defamation of the Jewish people. Again, which is bullshit. All they do is dox people and ruin people's lives because they don't like their politics. But the problem is, you don't stand up when it really matters. You stand up for these abstract ideas of freedom of expression. And you could say that the freedom of expression is much like the freedom to not be assaulted. It's just the freedom to not have someone ruin your life because you said something that they don't like. You could say, well, I have the right not to be injured, not to be attacked in the streets. But guess what? If you import thousands of Somalis that don't respect your culture and that are, violent and aggressive and primitive, guess what's going to happen? You're going to get assaulted in the street, so your right doesn't matter. And in the same way, if you have the right to freedom of expression under the First Amendment or under the Canadian Charter of Rights, it doesn't matter when you have Silicon Valley tech companies that are owned by people like Mark Zuckerberg and cracking down on people. And the thing is, Twitter is known for being one of the most open platforms of all the social media companies. They're one of the least oppressive. Facebook is far, far more oppressive when it comes to what you can say, what opinions you can express, which is why it was ironic about Sacha Baron Cohen going after Facebook in particular. And that's partly because it's owned by people who, make polls. I don't know if you remember this. They made a poll on Facebook saying, is it okay for adults to have sex with children? And they had to take it down because it received so much flack. So that's the kind of, those are the, again, What kind of person does that? What kind of person does that? You can say, oh yeah, I just muted and blocked this Jew hater who hides behind an anonymous account. Again, like, what are you doing, man? Check out his Twitter feed. Yeah, check out my Twitter feed. Check out all of us. Actually, give us the time of day and talk to us rather than just like screaming anti-Semite. Because the thing is, there is this temptation, I think, to run to the defense of someone like this. Noam Chomsky even said that the whole Russian collusion thing was ridiculous because Israel has intervened on American politics far, far more than Russia ever has. And it's sort of tempting to go, well, okay, well, this guy's kind of based, he's saying things that are true, that cut at the heart of this problem. And, in some cases, someone like Gad Saad will even suffer the consequences. And I sort of suspect that maybe it's your activism that's resulted in them cracking down on you rather than your use of the R word. I think that's probably an excuse. But the thing is, your ideology leads to this. Your ideology leads to the subjugation of the majority and the elevation of minorities by alienating and sort of atomizing white people. And this is a behavior that Jewish people never engage in. They always hire their own. They always benefit their own first. And this is why so many Hollywood actors have a hard time getting into Hollywood. It's why almost all of, actually I think it is all now, all of the major Hollywood studios are owned by Jewish people. It's why they dominate finance and the media and academia. It's not because they're so much smarter, so much superior. It's not that they're superior to everyone else. It's that they are a group that is very diligent and that is engaged in a self-selective behavior. They are allowed. They have a social license to engage in a eugenic process that no one else is allowed to. They are allowed to hire their own, benefit their own, where we would be called racist and denounced and kicked out of our jobs and run out of the country if we were to do things like this. That is what gives them an edge. And you're not denouncing that. And your ideology leads to that. So denouncing the symptoms of the problem that you yourself have helped to usher in is not a defense. You're not standing up for freedom of expression because you're not pointing at the people that are actually doing it. And the reason you're not doing that is because they're your own people. And it would be kind of embarrassing for you. I mean, look at the people that actually have gone that far. Look at David Cole Stein. Death threats, attempts on his life, being gang beaten, called a white supremacist and a denier, and a self-hating Jew by the Jewish Defense League. That man suffered horrible, and that's someone I would actually stick up for because he's paid his dues and he's done the right thing and he doesn't support this bullshit. But you, as a controlled opposition figure, to say, at least I have at least I support people's right to free speech. Your support means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And if you won't go far enough to name the people that are taking away, they're threatening our rights, if you won't name the people that are imposing these policies of censorship, the Trusted Flagger program is organized by things like the European Hate Speech Movement and the ADL and the SPLC. These organizations are the ones that dictate who has the freedom of expression and who doesn't. And you want to deny the ethnic element to this when there's clearly an open ethnic element to all of the organizations involved? That's fucking insane. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot not to know this. But if you have a vested interest in covering it up, if you have an ethnic or ideological interest in ignoring the ethnic element to this, it makes total sense. But, just deny, just call people hateful, grotesque idiocy. You're so dismissive while you're telling people, I think these people should have the right to say what they want. Sacha Baron Cohen said that he believes in the freedom of expression too. I don't know if you remember that, but in that speech he said, the freedom of speech is not the freedom of reach. So, you guys can talk about how much you love freedom and how much you love the ability to say what you want and how you'll stick up for these horrible hate mongers. But at the end of the day, you don't actually believe it. You're just saying it. They're just words to you. They're just, surface principles that you will stand up for when it makes you feel nice and warm and cozy and ethical. But when it comes to actually fighting against it and taking a real stand against the people responsible, you are completely impotent. You're completely worthless. You, Noam Chomsky, all of you liberal, Dave Rubin types, all of you people serve the same goal of keeping people corralled in an ideological cage to keep them from going far enough into the depths of the problem to understand that the root of it is ethnic. It is ethnical. It is not ideological. The ideology is an expression of the ethnic conflict. I was going to quote Evola. I found the chapter in the book, but I don't want to make this video too long. But these people are acting in such a way that has been given to them by an ideology that says, until the God oversees our people, until we reclaim Zion, there can never be justice. There can never be morality, and a lot of that then results in them becoming frustrated and tired with the failure of the attempt to redeem themselves. And so they just say, you know what, fuck it, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to act as if nothing matters, and I'm just going to act as egregiously as I can to get to meet these goals and to expand Israel and make sure that our people reclaim Zion. And you see that with these billionaires that pour money into organizations that contribute to that end. Mark Zuckerberg contributes to an Open Borders Foundation. Why? Out of his own pocket. Why? He doesn't get any financial kickback on that, but he just does it because that's in his nature. And if you refuse to understand this, then you're not a friend, you're not an ally, and your support of our so-called freedoms amounts to absolutely nothing, and you are still painting yourself as the eternal enemy.